Stanley did this great job and put together so many good people and have this great conversation we had on Wednesday. It was very inspiring. And I think he's already gave his contribution to nursing because he highlighted some problem and put people on a spotlight to actually take the courage to speak up in order to reflect on an issue that we not have just in Cameroon, because the discussion was about doctor-nurses relationship in Cameroon, but we have all over the globe. I come from Italy. I can say that we have the same issue. So what I love the most is that nurses, sorry, the sound of the ice cream, sorry. I love the fact that nurses took the courage to take the stage. They've been so professional and so good. Kindria, I'm telling you, girl, you've been amazing. I love your point all the time. You stood up in front of the audience and the people loved what you say. And all the other contribution we love so much. And we thought that was the right thing to allow Stanley to present because he created this event. And also we wanted to give him the stage also because he's a student, and if his career will be great, like I think it will, because he's so keen to contribute to nursing, he needs to start to practice since now that he's still a student. So we wanted to give a seat. Unfortunately, I think he's have connection problem because he was so actually eager to do it. I can't see him. So Peter, do you want to tell them what we did with Stanley to help him program?
Do we want to go through the PowerPoints, or did the PowerPoints go through already?
We already went on Wednesday, and we can go again by having a conversation together now. But I would like that you explain what we did, me and you, with with Stanley, when we meet a couple of times for his presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, no, so Stanley did a research project on communications between nurses and physicians. And I think, like Diane said, I think that's a global challenge that we have. And and we talked about how do we mindfully approach that, right? We don't want to approach it standoffishly. We want to approach it in a mindful way that we can foster a community and a conversation. And Stanley did a really good job with that when we met with him on the weekend, last weekend. And we talked about situations where we feel that we may have challenges or lack of communication in areas. And we discussed from the American point that we do rounding, in the morning. So in the morning, the physicians and the nurses go around the unit and they discuss each case or the patient's case. And it didn't seem like that kind of communication went on in different parts of the world or globe. Another ways is how we communicate from them in the electronic medical record, and that's also a barrier in some parts of the world too. Some places may not be even using electronic medical records. They're still using paper. And then we talked about orders and how the nurses receive orders from the physicians. So yeah, that's what we discussed. Sorry, my dog's barking.
Sorry, I was replying to a message. Yes, it was good because we basically asked him, what do you want to do? What do you want us to help you with? And we put down the bullet point, and Peter created slides. And then I just adjust the slides when I had time. So we really try to put a little bit of help here and there, support each other as much as we could. And then after I have a meeting with the doctor who presented the slides with Stanley to inform what we have done. So he knew how to present. And again, we have a very great conversation on Wednesday. And now, if you allow me to do, I would like to share the screen with the slides again. And if you want, we can discuss again on the point, or what do you think was your takeaway? Can I share the screen? Can I go, yeah? Give me a second, please. Give me a second. Let me ask for the... Okay, first of all, I would like to share, I hope she doesn't mind, but I would like to share Kendria LinkedIn profile for a second. She did a great job on LinkedIn because she basically highlighted the point, her takeaway for the meeting. And I will read the post. It was a great session with amazing doctors and nurses. Take-home message. Nurses and doctors are members of the same team, with different roles working together for the good of the patient. Evidence-based practice should be reinforced to ensure optimal patient outcomes. Team members should respect each other. Nurses, doctors must understand the scope of practice, so they know what they have to do in their competencies. Everyone with the healthcare team is important and should be treated as so. Kendra, do you want to say something about it? Because you did a great job, actually. I think this session will be very interactive because, again, Stanley is supposed to present. I'm so sorry that I think it really, I hope it's okay, because it really didn't respond to the text today. So, Kendra, are you here? Okay, we'll start with the slides anyway. And please take the stage whenever you want. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. So Stanley did this research, and he was able to highlight a few discussions. Nurse-doctor relationship, a critique on how to foster mutual collaboration, eliminate the existing Cold War. Some people like the way we call, like Cold War. Some people, from the tone of their voice, they didn't like it. I noticed anyway. And Cold War is maybe it's too much sometimes, but I think it's a funny way to actually highlight a problem. And it's exactly the objective of the meeting was to create a place, a safe space where nurses and doctors could talk about this issue without get abuse, if we can say that. So be able to feel free to express their point. And I think we achieve actually the goal, because we have very healthy, a good conversation, and also was very productive. So we started by understanding the current landscape, identify the root cause of the Cold War between doctors and nurses, and discuss the impact of patient care and the healthcare team. So few doctors take the stage, few nurses take the stage. And what we understood is that there is a lack of competencies in the nursing space, in the nurses professional. So from nurses' perspective, they feel that they need to improve their knowledge because sometimes it's hard to do it so. And even if nurses have knowledge, sometimes they're not able to demonstrate their knowledge. From the other side, we saw that doctors feel unable to provide the right care to the patient because nurses were not really able to perform what they have to perform. Or in another case, a doctor didn't feel comfortable in allowing nurses to do what they have to do, even though nurses in some places, especially in a rural place, as one of the doctor alive, nurses do even more than what they expected to do. So they're very professional, they're very knowledgeable. Please tell me if I'm missing something. Yeah, thank you. So establish a culture of mutual respect. Strategy, we talk about strategy for building trust and respect between doctor and nurses. How to foster effective communication, which technique to use to foster effective communication. And foster also a collaborative decision-making process. So how we actually are able to talk between nurses and doctor in a way that is respectful for both, and in a way that enable both nurses and doctors to, at the end, provide the highest and best care for the patient. So we understand that we have to learn more about effective communication and put in practice. Also, again, collaborative decision-making process. So what we really want is that doctor and nurses collaborate for the best for the patient, for the best care for the patient, and not just that the doctor command and nurses act. So it's more on the decision. Nurses should start to help doctor in making decision. Also because nurses, what's being allied is that nurses are with the patient 24 hours. So what means is the doctor come 10-15 minutes per patient. Of course, he had a different scope of practice. So it's in the patient 10 minutes, in that 10-15 minutes, and maybe that patient that 10-15 minutes is doing well, but nurses see the patient 24/7. So is the nurses really are nurses who are really able to identify all the problem of the patient and then highlight to the doctor, so then together can make a decision. We talk about promoting collaborative goals and priority between doctors and nurses, and we highlight the interdisciplinary training of professional development, organizational policy, and support system. I remember the Darcy talk about this, especially. It was allowing the fact that we need nurses on higher level of the system. Some doctors say that we already have a position in management, and so maybe it's best stay there for the day-by-day health care for the patient. But I'm not pretty sure that this has been understood well. Please, Dr. Niempo, if you want to say something about this, I would prefer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dina. Your team truly captured the essence of the meeting that was held. I would say a panelist discussion that was held. That was on Thursday. So you're right. The doctors are pleading that nurses be respectful. Nurses are pleading that doctors be respectful. And on this collaborative effort that our Cameroonian team is nurturing, I would say cultivating between doctors and nurses, we found that there are very few nurses in the leadership ranks in Cameroon. And it seems that with the medical team, they are okay with that. But we also found that, and we truly agree based on research, global research that have taken place with National Institute of Healthcare out here in the US, where it shows that only 30% of the 90 percentile of nurses who occupy healthcare as a whole, only 30% of those 90% of nursing professionals are on the decision-making table. So if you are comfortable with having just a handful, not even a handful, but on one hand, maybe 3 nurses on a strategic decision-making platform in a hospital or throughout the government, that is not enough. Okay, so the doctors made our point that, oh, yes, we do have some nurses in high ranks, but then NIC came to rebuttal that it is not enough to have, I believe he said, if I get the percentage right, it was just 12%, but very low. My memory is foggy on the percentage, but very low. So that was clarified. But I want to take us to the interview that NIC had yesterday. That was yesterday. So the interview truly opened a new page, for my understanding, on the global issue that's happening in Cameroon. So we have isolated situations happening in Cameroon in the rural sectors, but we also have a global issue where they have a large pool of nursing professionals. But out of that large pool, meaning that Cameroon is actively, robustly training nursing professionals, but they are not all qualified because their training are not being streamlined according to a board of education, as we can say here, of nursing, or one that truly follows through with the trainings and also follow through with the qualification that these individuals are practicing by. Evidence-based practice is not truly being regulated in Cameroon. So as we speak on this issue, those who are in Liberia, please do brainstorm and tell us if you see the same situations happening in Liberia, those in Kenya, those in India. NIC is globally based, so please give us insight on what's happening in your regions of the world, because Cameroon is not an isolated situation, as I mentioned during this meeting that we are talking about, this panel discussion, that the issues in Cameroon are widespread throughout the world. From my understanding, from studies I've read, and even from being a Liberian, I know these issues are very much predominant in Liberia as well. So these are points that were discussed during this event. And what an opportune time to have such a discussion during Nurses Week, and being led by our nursing empowerment team, because if nurses are not being empowered, if in their intellects, in their certification boards and all the government entities that govern them. So then these are gaps that NIC needs to fill. NIC needs to go and partner and strategically partner with these countries and their leaders to see where we can meet the needs of nurses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyimpo. And I'll go ahead with last slide. Hello? Okay. And then we said Stanley want to talk about case studies and best practice, sharing successful example of doctor-nurse collaboration, and discussing lesson learned and key takeaways. This really will be helpful, a key point to actually improve this relationship. So we really have to highlight positive relationship. And because if we highlight this positive relationship, and we highlight also what is the product of this positive relationship, we can have as evidence base to demonstrate that actually a good relationship, respectful collaboration between doctor and nurses can really improve the healthcare and give even better care to patients. Also, discussing lesson learned and key takeaway help us to improve over and over. This is in our day-by-day care, but this is valid also for collaboration, relationship. And this is also what's Team-Bound Day actually. This is why it's so in trend, especially in Anglo-Saxon countries, because they understood that when the team is bound between professionals, the impact of healthcare improves. So we are able to provide better healthcare. So action plan actually is go ahead with this conversation. This Wednesday conversation that we had was a seed that we need to nurture so it can blow. So identify specific steps to improve the doctor-nurses relationship, assign responsibility and timeline. And I believe that the fact that Darcy was able to be interviewed yesterday and report post this meeting that we have was so important. Now, I didn't see the interview yet. I'm sorry, didn't have time, but I would like that someone of you who did, please just tell us what was the interview and discussion about in Darcy interview. I mean, thank you. Anyone? Okay, if no one saw the interview, I suggest to go and watch it. I will do as soon as I can today or later tomorrow. And I think it'll be very inspiring. But he actually actualized very soon what we say, that we need to continue and we need to nurture this conversation because it's the only way to actually improve the relationship. And I think it was amazing because in 2 days, it was 1 day, 2 days, was able actually to actualize what we actually discussed and discusses in the panel. So it was extraordinary. And the summary of the discussion where you talk, I think Kendra did a good summarize of the discussion. We put this quote from the Ephesians 4:25. Therefore, laying aside falsehood, speak through each one of you with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. If we want to provide a best care to our patient, we really need to feel in the same theme. And we have to be respectful, excuse me, trustful each other. So we need to foster a good collaboration, good relationship, so that we can really actually give the best care possible and feel better in the workplace, I believe. So the slide that follows are not be shown in the discussion on Wednesday, because really these are for our discussion today. So please open your microphone. We're going one by one. Please tell what you think. Tell your takeaway. Tell what you're thinking about this. So the first slide is about role confusion. There is a role confusion. The overlap of responsibilities among doctors and nurses can cause tension. Of course, medicine is improving. We have technology in healthcare that is improving. So nurses are called to take more responsibility and more knowledge. The nurses today is not the same nurses 200 years ago, when Florence Nightingale, more than 200, when Florence Nightingale created the modern nursing. We have gained so much knowledge, and nurses is different country by country, but we're still improving. So there is this role confusion between nurses and doctors in terms of competency. What is my soil? What is yours? Where I can plant seed, or where I can, So please, who's want to say something? Thank you.
Yes, Adina, everyone, thank you so much. This is Naya. I'm calling from Liberia. Thank you for the presentation. I think the relationship between nurses and doctors and every health worker in the entire world is focusing towards care of the patients. So to release or cancel of the tension that is being carried out against one another, if only we think and then think about the patients, because every care is about a patient, whether you are a doctor or nurse or midwife or whatever position you have, it's all about our patients. So we need to work together. We need to have one understanding that this is the main mission, this is the goal. And I'm glad that nurses in charge have this important mission role, including the 3 pillars, the mission of connecting, celebrating, and also empowering. So if we connect and then celebrate one another, also empower each other, then the patient care will be better. Then, for us to think about what position I have, or I'm greater than this person, or I'm less, or I have been intimidated by this person. So if we do away with all of that and be able to have good communication between one another, then the healthcare system will be better for the entire world, especially for our patients who are so vulnerable and they come to us for care. So we need to respect one another. If we are a nurse or a doctor, let us respect one another, and let us have it at the back of our mind that it is only for one goal. So let us just put all differences aside and be one. Like just yesterday, there was some question that came to me. I will have to call our team in Liberia and then let them know, because there are some physician assistants and other healthcare workers who want to become part of nurses in charge. That's a great deal, because this organization or program is not only for nurses, but for all healthcare workers, so we can know the importance of taking care of our patients, what we can do for our patients then to be well. For example, if I myself, I become sick and then go to a clinic or a hospital, I want for the nurses and doctors to work together hand in hand so that they can give better care. And this is what our patients need. So for empowerment, those are some of the things that we do. If we celebrate, if we connect with one another and then we celebrate, that will bring in empowerment, and that will make our nurses, our doctors, our entire healthcare team to be happy to take care of our patients. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nia. Oh, so inspiring. Thank you. Peter, please open your microphone. Thank you so much, Nia. I love every time you talk.
Hi, everyone. Peter from Boston. I think when I look at role confusion, I think about diagnoses, right? So physicians have their own diagnoses, and then nurses have our language. So I think of a diagnosis like congestive heart failure. We can't diagnose that as a nurse, but we could give in our nursing language, we could say fluid overload, right? And then make our assessment and how we can assess, how we can help the patient. I think for another role confusion that might cause tension is ethical dilemmas. So if we have a patient that might present an ethical dilemma, us as nurses might have a different perception on the ethical dilemma than the physicians. I think that's all I have on that slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. You actually do two great points. Anyone else?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, it's Evelyn, yeah?
Yeah, I'm Evelyn, YNGO calling from Liberia.
Thank you so much.
Cantor, Nima Kantem, NIC Chapter 1 President. What I observe on the nurses and the doctor, sometimes, you have to know the importance of your profession and the way in which you will talk to your colleagues and make even the patient respect your profession. But one thing I observe on the doctors that sometimes they come on the ward, the way in which they talk to the nurses, and we have to rebuke that. If the nurses got any problem, maybe you make your rounds and you did not understand anything, maybe the nurse did not understand your writing, and the nurse come to you politely and say, "Oh, Doc, can you please help me to understand this?" Then, unfortunately, the doctor will say, "But how do you want to understand this? This is what I wrote. This is what I do." And the nurse will feel angry, and on, problem will come. So we really need to work on that. Because if you are working in your institution or you are working with your patients and the both of you are not talking the way in one direction, it makes even the patient to not respect you. The patient will say, but the nurses and the doctor, they always have conflict among themselves. And one thing, I don't know how the doctor will feel. They feel that they got arm over us, but we are all on the same level. For our profession, we are different, and there is different. So we have to intertwine, we have to understand each other, that our work will be, because if the both of you are working with the patients and you are not on the same line, then you will not get good care, you will not reach your goal. You will not do what you're supposed to do. Because if you are caring for your patient and the both of you are understanding each other, definitely the patient will reach that goal and it will be okay. But you cannot be caring for a patient where you got a heavy heart and maybe the doctor is talking, the doctor may talk something and you may give a wrong medication to your patient and it will not be good. So I just want to tell you, thank you for that presentation. And it is good. We are even encouraging people, doctors, like last week, I tried to encourage one of my doctors to be part of this program. He started telling me, so everything is about nursing. I said, no. It's not only about nurses. Doctors, midwife, physician assistant, we all can be part to reach our goal because we are all fighting for customer services. So thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. I actually remember your intervention the other Wednesday. I think it was one very simple but very, very powerful because you actually highlight a very important problem. And remember that you say, so why when doctor asks things to her, so nurses, why they don't do in a nice way? Why they have to be rude all the time? And I could see the discomfort of doctors that understood that this is the first step to do for having a great conversation and actually having a good grade for patients. So thank you very much for your intervention today, Evelyn, for Wednesday. And actually you highlight one another slide that Stanley prepared, which is lack of respect, of course. Nurses may not feel recognized and respected by doctor for their competencies and contribution. We are ready to talk about power imbalances because nurses are often underappreciated and resent doctors' authority. So in some countries, this is less a problem, like in the Anglo-Saxon country, we see nurses are also in the parliament in high institution, but there are countries like Cameroon, Liberia, Italy. I come from Italy. It's very hard to see a nurse even in the town council. So yeah, really much understood Cameroon problem as a personal professional perspective. Anyone want to say something else about power imbalances? Dr. Nyampo already expressed the general problem very well. Anyone else want to say something about this? Okay.
Dina, let me touch on that a little bit.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Power imbalance, what I've seen in my line of work is that when we have a hierarchy of orders of ranking, among nurses, we have our own and doctors have their own. So knowing your role as a nurse, if you are you are just a staff nurse versus a charge nurse, right? So we have the staff nurse, the charge nurse, the nursing supervisor, and then you go to chief of nursing and all that nurse managers, depending on how the hospital is staffing. So knowing who to relate your needs to. If you have a patient and a doctor is not attending to that patient, following the order of ranking truly helps. And knowing that the order, knowing which order your hospital goes through is very much important. You cannot have issues with another nurse or a doctor and then pick up the phone and call the chief of nursing. That chief of nurse will ask you, why is it that you have not followed the chain of commands? Why is it that you did not call your nurse manager or maybe even the charge nurse? Why are you calling me? So, you know, knowing that, and also knowing that if you are a staff nurse, do not take certain arguments outside of your ranking. There are certain arguments that should not be your area. It should not be your focus. If you have issues with family members, you have issues with patients or doctors or your colleagues, noting that the order of leadership does not stop with you. It's good to mitigate the issue among yourselves. If it does not work, you take it to the next level. But trying to handle everything because you are Mr. Know-it-all or Mr. Can't do no wrong, then it brings a disrespect to the nursing profession because they're looking at you as a problematic person but they're also looking at you as a nurse. So then it gives such a bitter taste to others. The patient may say, all these nurses, but it's only one nurse who is not recognizing their position in the organization and or in their own profession. Or it could be the doctors just generalizing. So whenever we step out of our power, when we have a power imbalance, meaning that we're just often misunderstanding our role, our scope of, it also goes into our scope of practice. If you are leaving what you need to be doing as a nurse and running into what a nurse practitioner should be doing or a doctor should be doing, you bring a bad rapport to the team, you give a bad taste, and just it throws things off balance. So those are areas that we truly need to strengthen ourselves, because some nurses are giving they're giving bad labels to nurses in general, and truly that is unfair to the whole bunch. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you, Dr. Nyimpu. Absolutely. I would like to read a couple of messages. This is for Mbeno, I think regarding what Nia said and Emily said. That's right. If nurses and doctors should come together, they will form a great healthcare team. Absolutely. How has the name of, I don't know who is this person, I can just see the name of the device. So she said, absolutely agree, there is power in speaking up. Safety is also created by speaking up. Absolutely, this is so true. I think we have just 5 minutes left before the next presentation. So let me just read you aloud the next slides. And if you have some few minutes left, we can still talking. So we say lack of respect. We say also cultural differences. So Cameroon has a strong hierarchical structure, which can make working together challenging for doctor and nurses. And cultural difference is not just about training, it's also about where the two professionals came from. And this is actually international, because we tend to see who become not doctor become from maybe a more rich family or a family that's very supporting. So even if a poor family can support the student, while nurses tend to come from poor family or family where this was no support. So there are two different lengths of study. So this cultural difference come from the stem that come from there actually. So we talk about this. Please tell me your point of view. Then we also talk about resource constraints. Lack of resources such as supplies, equipment can add stress. Of course, if we're not able to do our job because we don't have devices or resources, equipment that we need, we get stressed because we cannot provide the care needed from the patient. And so building a stress of obviously leads to miscommunication, problem in relationship, toxicity, and so on. This become a toxic circle. And workload and stress, again, this just follow the previous slides. Stress and heavy workload can cause tension and conflict in doctor nurses relationship. Of course, we don't have a healthy workplace, we're not able to perform well, because we have so many things to do that we are not. Like one nurse have to do the work of 8 nurses. This is not possible, it's not sustainable, and this creates much stress. And this of workload and stress is actually an international issue that actually is bringing to global nurses crisis. Please, I finished with my presentation. I'm so sorry that Stanley couldn't make it. I text him again. I hope he's fine. And this presentation was really much for him because we want him to present, because it's his work. He's done all of this. We just put in the slides. We haven't done anything about it. So we were very happy to support Stanley, and we're so sorry that he couldn't make it, and hope he's fine actually. So anyway, please, The microphone is yours if you want to add anything else. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome work, team nursing empowerment. Thank you so much for putting your presentation together. And the mystery person that was behind the name is actually Katie, our next presenter. So our guest speaker for this hour that we're launching into. So yes, Katie, welcome. These are just few members of our organization, very few, but powerful few who have been presenting on nursing empowerment. And yes, did you have anything to say on what you heard, Katie, before?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I am so flattered and honored to even be on this discussion with you all. And I wanted to just let the conversation roll, but I had so many thoughts as I was listening because so much of what you all and really anybody in healthcare experience is most things boil down to communication. And that's what you guys were talking about, with overlapping roles and just confusion surrounding that and knowing when to speak up. I mean, speaking up directly ties into safety, so and quality and all of that goes really, really far, not just with the touchy-feely side of patient care. A lot of times when people see me, they're like, oh my gosh, the feelings lady is here. But I think it's a lot bigger than feelings. And when you're actually doing exactly what you guys were talking about with communicating and standing up for your patients and also knowing when to speak up, I mean, you have the nail on the head. That's the whole point of what we all do, right?
Yes, yes. I'm so glad that you were in the backstage and listening in. So
I thought that was a beautiful conversation. And Dina, it seemed like that was not meant for you to present, but I think that you did a fantastic job. So I guess that I'll go ahead and kind of just talk to you all today about what I was planning to speak on. Like I was saying, so flattered and honored to get to speak with you all today. I didn't fully realize the scope. I didn't realize I would be speaking to people in Boston, in Africa. I think that's so beautiful. So I'm coming to you from Florida, the East Coast of Florida, specifically just south of Daytona Beach, if anyone knows where that is or has ever heard of that. And I was so torn with thinking about what exactly I wanted to speak about, and I kept coming back to something. And to me, I think what I'm going to talk about is the root of what you all as nurses don't realize that you're able to do for people. So I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm constantly taking classes because I teach classes, and I don't think that you can truly practice what you preach unless you go into that space yourself. So the last course that I took last semester, I rented the textbook, but after the class, I ended up buying it because I was just moved by this book. And so I wanted to just attempt to paraphrase a really small segment of this book that I read. If you like what I have to say, it's not my own words. It's from this book called My Grandfather's Blessings. Did I see a hand? Dina, did you have your hand up? No. Okay. So this book is called My Grandfather's. Oh,
sorry, sorry.
No, what?
And mute. Yempu, sorry. I was trying to pick up. Sorry.
No problem at all. Okay. So this book, I'm going to just paraphrase this really small story, but I thought it was so impactful. So this book has many small stories, and it's written from the perspective of a female physician. Her name is Dr. Rachel Remen. So this small segment of one of these books, the title is called The Gift of Service. And the idea behind this passage is that you all in healthcare are going to perform acts of kindness that flow bigger than you will actually even have the pleasure to know. So in this segment, Dr. Remen is talking about how she was a medical student in this facility called Bellevue Hospital in New York City. And when she was a medical student 40 years ago, it was very common to be in one large space. So she was in a ward, essentially, with bed, 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 bed. So one large room. And it was the male ward, okay? And she's a young female learning physician. And her job was to go from bed to bed to bed and take their blood. And she would come in before her shift started so that she could get all of that going, and so that the answers in the labs could start working. So she mentions in this story that it wasn't uncommon for patients to help with things, like they would help bring a food tray, they would help clean up, because they were so thankful to be there, because most of the time they would have a reason for being admitted was cold in winter, homeless and hungry. So they felt like they needed to pitch in to play their part to be able to be in this ward. All that to say, it was not uncommon for this next thing to happen. She's trying to draw blood, and a lot of the patient's arms, they have been working outside their whole lives, so their veins are tough, and nobody ever taught her the right way to draw blood. She just had to figure it out. So she was trying 3 or 4 times on this gentleman, and somebody came up behind her and they're like, "Don't they teach you guys how to draw blood these days?" And it's another patient. And so she was so desperate for help that she let him show her, and he did it with one hand. And she was like, "Please show me how to do that." So they go from patient to patient to patient, and he teaches her over the next couple weeks how to do it. And he's like, "You're a really quick learner. You're learning how to do this quite well." And he starts challenging her to do it by feeling and not even by sight. And he's like, "Try this vein. This one's the hardest one that they have." And she's really, really getting her confidence. And she's so thankful for this mystery patient. And she, I'm going to actually read the end of this passage in the book, because I think hearing it from Dr. Remen's point of view is incredibly powerful. So she goes on to mention how she comes back to this rotation about a year later, and it's the same hospital, but now she's in the emergency room. She's not in the men's ward anymore. So I'm going to just read to you Dr. Remen's words. "The following year, I returned to Bellevue for 3 more months, and I was assigned to work in the emergency room, one of the most famous in the world. Medically, it was an extraordinary experience. I was giddy with all the drama of it. All of New York City's sufferings came through these doors. Accidents, shootings, heart attacks, suicides, beatings, rapes. At the time, it was my idea of being a real doctor. So I was there the evening that Larry was brought in by police ambulance, shot to death over a drug deal gone bad. It had stunned me. Being very young, I had simply assumed that he had been an army medic. It had never occurred to me to wonder where he had learned to be so skilled with a needle. It has been almost 40 years since I was a student at Bellevue and touched by Larry's kindness. There have been many times when my deftness with a needle has made the difference to someone, and a few times in a tight situation when that difference was between life and death. Over the years, I have taught Larry's secrets to hundreds and hundreds of others, and perhaps they have passed them on as well. Once this skill is learned, it is something no one ever forgets. It's like riding a bicycle." There were so many angles of this story that, first of all, I can read that without crying because I read it like 10 times at this point. I was bawling the first time I read that because I feel that, first of all, a whole other segment could be people with substance abuse issues are judged. We don't always see them as being people. So that's a whole other segment we could talk about another time. But I find it so beautiful that Larry, he doesn't even know the impact that he has had on student nurse, on student physician. She has said herself that she taught over hundreds of people, and they probably did too. So that was such a small act of kindness. Larry couldn't help himself. He stood up and couldn't watch this poor thing not know what to do. And he taught her with patience, and just that small act of kindness brings on a web of blessings for person after person. And I thought, to me, that boils down to everything that we do in healthcare, everything you guys do as nurses. I feel it in my heart that you all don't even fully understand the power of what you do, in the sense that someone that you guys have treated talks about your kindness, and they talk about it at dinner, and they talk about it with their friends, and they talk about it years later because that was a life event for them. So you're not going to remember all of your patients' faces, but they're always going to remember you because that was a huge, huge thing of their life. So that's really the main point that I wanted to bring up today. I wanted you to feel celebrated and seen and cared for the hard things that you do as nurses every single day. And it becomes such part of your day to day, you don't understand how much of a blessing that you're giving just by the care that you do every day.
Bravo, 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 Katie. From the day we had a conversation, I knew you would share light on patients' experience with my community, with our tribe nursing. And I could not resist but to invite you here.
Thank you so much.
And I was just saying, you know what? I need to ask her. I need to ask her. And then it came out and you accepted right on the first request.
Thank you so much. Truly an honor. Is there anything, that's really all I have prepared, because I just kind of wanted to see if there was anything else you wanted me to talk about. But again, I think that what you all do as nurses is just phenomenal. I have the pleasure of working side by side with nurses each and every day, and I'm moved to tears at what you all do.
You know, Katie, thank you so much. The appreciation is written all over your face. There's no way we cannot see it. I truly want you to bless our team with some of your encounters with from patients. Truly noting that you work in patient relations, and what you taught us during orientation, and what I've heard that you do, you get in the units and you truly go and you check on, you and your team check on these patients to say, how is your experience like? What can we do better? What have we done better? Which staff you have, you know, really truly impacted your care here? What are some of those highlights of your experience with working in patient relations, that good or bad? Please hit both sides and tell us where we can truly, because this is nursing empowerment, we're being empowered to do it better. We're being empowered to keep doing our work better. So,
of course, I would love to. Before we go into that, is someone's hands raised, or is that just a little symbol on the photo?
let me see.
I think in Benno, I see a little hand, and I didn't know if that means there's a question.
It was a clap. I think you saw the clap
Oh, you're
because
clapping.
it's very similar.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. So I will say this. When
I can still say something.
Oh, you okay.
Yes, yes. Can you making mention of your story when you write the book, and as well when you made the comment, I was just tears were coming down from my eyes, because I've had several instances where in the street someone has just called me. Can you hear me?
No, not that clear. There's a static.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, much better.
Okay. Yes, I was saying that I've had instances where I'm walking in the street and someone just walk up to me. Doc, good afternoon or good morning. And then this person now start explaining his or herself. I was this person, so and so person. My mom was sick, and you accompanied us, you carried us in the ambulance, and I was really watching at you. I really saw your devotion, and I never had time to even meet you after that. But I'm happy to see you now. Just words like that. So these words really touched my mind because I could not recognize the patient or the carer. But even when during the coronavirus, when I was with the ambulance, how to transport patients, with the face masks, and they could still really identify me out of that, out of work service. So I was like, are you serious? He said, yes, I really marked you. You were the one who carried my brother with me to the hospital. I really want to thank you for what you did. You were really dedicated and the rest. So those type of things, appreciation are really mind melting, because most of the times, like Casey said, we see hundreds of faces in a day and we cannot mark these faces. But to be sure, there is one act you do in somebody's life, and it's a lifetime act, and that person is going to carry you for the rest of his or her life. So you can see how patients could identify you at the marketplace, patients can meet you in the street, and how to approach you to tell you. They are even the one reminding you what you did at what time, and all those things are not in your brain again. When we do it, we move on. So that was really, when you were talking, I was just thinking about the instances I've had, and I say, wow, this is nursing.
I am so happy. That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, they come up to you, and like you said, during COVID, you had mask on.
Yes.
And they still recognize you without the mask. They're like, I would know that face anywhere, right?
Yes.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That's exactly what I mean, that it's just a web of blessings, and it just carries on and on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I'll touch a little bit on the next topic as requested. And first of all, I think to truly figure out how a patient is feeling, you have to approach them with a look that you're ready to listen. Because I can go up to a patient, I'm like, hey, I bet you everything's going fine, right? And they'll say yes. But if I were to say, hi, Peter, I'm Katie. I'd love to hear a little bit about how your care is going here at the hospital, and sit down, I think that they would be much more open to telling me exactly what's going on. Sometimes I find that nurses get frustrated because I will find something out that the patient hasn't mentioned to anyone. And they're like, why wouldn't they tell me that? And I think we have to be mindful that sometimes people don't want to come across as a bother, and they're not going to tell you because they don't want to, they know we're busy, right? In the healthcare field. They're like, I don't want them to know about, whatever it is. So I think that openness and letting them know, hi, I have the time for you. I'm here to help you, and actually take a seat. When you take a seat with a patient, they perceive that the interaction was 4 times longer than it actually was, because it removes the power differential, because you are coming down from above them to actually having that moment. And it really doesn't, you don't have to spend that much more time. And you can even preface the conversation by, I'd like to take a seat with you for a few minutes and just get to know you more, hear from you. So I think, first of all, approaching a patient with again, like we were just saying, like, let them know that you're willing to listen. So it's about how you say things as well as what you say. So really, that body language, making eye contact, talking slowly and calmly lets people know that you're there to listen. So we'll start with a negative and then we'll end with a positive. Let me think of a recent one. That's a positive, so I'll end on that one. I think that a lot of the themes of things that we see come down to communication. So I was speaking with someone and they said this week, I don't know why I can't have anything to eat or drink. And, the thought of being NPO, to them, we're so used to those terms that nobody had thought to explain what that means and why they are that way. And I think that we kind of breeze by it and we expect, well, everyone knows you can't eat or drink before you go into surgery, but that's not true. What if you've never had a hospital interaction before? If you are a blue collar worker that, you change power all day, like this is not your forte being in a hospital. So that's a very common one, not necessarily the NPO, but just lack of received communication. And that doesn't mean that the nurse didn't mention it, but explaining it in a way where the patient has the space to listen, so they're not in agonizing pain, for example, or, once things have settled down, like really coming back for that second moment, maybe, hey, Peter, you are NPO. What that means is nothing to eat or drink by mouth, and here's why. And tying that back to safety, I know safety was a huge topic we were talking about before. Okay, so let me think of a good one. Yesterday before I left work, I spoke to a patient in the ICU, and it was really casual conversation. I ended up telling him, I'm like, hey, your voice sounds so familiar to me. I feel like I've talked to you before. And then we figured it out, and he was like, oh my gosh, I talked to you when my mom was here because we lost something and we were trying to find it, and you came up to talk to. And so I was like, oh no, I just brought up like bad memories for him because I don't know if the item was ever found. So now I'm upset with myself because I'm like, I just went backwards. I buried myself in this hole. Like, how am I going to get out of this? Then it gets worse. He told me, well, she passed away last week. And I'm like, what have I done? I am started this terrible, terrible thing. So I decided to sit down with him, and I'm like, and I actually grabbed his hand and I said, I am so sorry that she is not here anymore. What I remember about her being with you is she was so comfortable around you. And I just started, things were coming back to me as I was talking to him and just remembering our scenario. And so he starts showing me photos on his phone of like his life. And he's showing me pictures of his grandkids, like we are friends, and he's talking about them on a first name basis. He's like, little Bobby, and he's like telling me about them, and like as if I know all of this. And I just listened to him, and I just let him speak. And something came to me, and it was like, offer to pray with him, offer to pray with him, offer to pray with him. And I was a little nervous about it because I didn't know how he was going to feel about that. And I was just going out on a limb. And I asked him, can I pray with you before I leave? And he said, are you a preacher? And I am not at all. I'm not even good at praying. It makes me a little nervous and emotional. So I said no, but I did it. It was really short, and I incorporated things that we had just talked about, like his grandkids and blah, blah, blah. But we ended the little prayer, and I looked up at him, and he was like, you just made me cry. Like, thank you so much. And during the prayer, I prayed for his health, but also what he was going through spiritually with the loss of his mom, the very recent loss of his mom. So we said goodbye, and it was great. And I got to go. I left feeling so good. And I had been so afraid I felt like I was going to start digging a hole. But I somehow dug myself out of it. And I think that there's some vulnerability there when I didn't want to pray or when I didn't want to talk about something emotional. It's because I don't want to go there myself. I'm afraid of getting emotional because I cry. So once you can realize there's, the author and the motivational speaker, Brené Brown, she speaks a lot about the power of vulnerability and courageous vulnerability. And for us to get there, we have to be willing to accept in ourselves, like, it's okay if I'm going to get a little emotional. There's a lot of power here. So as soon as I got done with that, I thought about her and all her, talks about empathy versus sympathy and courageous vulnerability. And I just was like, I am so thankful that God was able to plug me in and use me, because I was like, he needed to speak to someone. So not to go off on a tangent, that's just one of the last people I spoke to yesterday.
Hey, Katie, your job is well caught out for you, because when I work, I have maximum 6 patients. You have the whole hospital.
I do, but I couldn't do it without nurses. And I feel like nurses are really getting open to, like, when we leave the room, they're like, hey, what'd they say? Because they're realizing that we want to work together, that anything we come out, and I'm not mad at you if I tell you something. And there's a part of me also that has to realize that's their perception. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. That doesn't mean that the one patient was never told why he was NPO, but rather we identify there's a disconnect somewhere. And I believe that you went in there with your best heart of hearts and explained it, but they are not getting it. And so, like, let me work with you. Let's figure out a way to make them understand. So just coming from that point of, there's a middle ground there somewhere, right? But I could not do what I do without, first of all, doctors, nurses, techs, anybody. And so we all have to work together. That's just what we were talking about in the previous discussion of overlapping roles and not knowing where, the line in the sand is. And I think that when you put the patient at the heart of all you do, everything else should flow naturally. And that's whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a lab tech, and anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better, to hit the mark of putting the patient in the center. That's the core.
That's what we all should be doing.
We don't go to nursing school to go hang out in the break room and gossip. We go to nursing school to take care of these patients. So if our focus, I believe someone said it before, Neil said it, if we focus on this quality care that we need to provide our patients, then we will work together, because we need Dr. L, we need Nurse P, we need all of them to come together as alphabet soup, right? So
right.
Make this tasty care to provide to our patients. So I love it. So I wanna turn the page to our members, because Katie, as you mentioned, you did not know you walk into a global community. We have Dina, who is in the UK. We have Mbino, who is in Cameroon. We have Peter in the great Boston of all places. We got Siane in Orlando, Neo in Liberia. I don't know who else on the line. I have to check to see. We got Evelyn in Liberia. Nime, we are a global community of nurses who are connecting, celebrating, and empowering ourselves globally, right? So with that said, how many of our members have a patient relations professional in their hospitals? I do. Let me raise my hand. Anyone else around the world who has this department in their hospitals?
We don't have.
Not anywhere in Cameroon?
In most of the health facilities, I have not seen that. The patient relation department is not.
That is something that's so common in the US. I can speak of that because I work east, south, north. I've traveled around the US, and it's something that I don't know when the initiation started, but it is everywhere. They can even lose their dentures, patient relations. Someone lost my dentures, I need it. Right, Peter?
I have dug through the trash.
Yes, they come to the patient's needs. I mean, yeah, they do come. If conflict resolution, they're there.
And I will tell you, with all honesty, there's some people that we don't win back if they're so upset and we weren't able to fix it. And I will say it's rare, but it does happen. It absolutely does. Most of the time we can come to some level, but every once in a while there is going to be somebody that whatever happened or their perception, or we can't come back from.
So we need patient relations in Cameroon. Where else do we need it?
It looks like in the chat we need it in Liberia.
We need it in Liberia because we don't have any.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So true. We need it in Liberia.
Okay.
And that would be fine for us.
All right. What about in the UK? Do you have it there? And I know, Dina, you are an Italian nurse, but now you're in the UK. So can you cover both grounds? If you have a patient relations department in Italy and in the UK right now?
So in Italy, we have a kind of complaint office, which is not really, doesn't work anyway. So it's there it's there just to employ people that know some governor, so they have a job because maybe they vote for that governor. So anyway, I don't want to go to this. Anyway, in UK, we have patient's office relationship that, if I understood, it's not like yours, because it's an office where the patient can call for have more information or complain about something or ask for help because missing something, or maybe I'm a clinical trial nurse, so they can call that office to understand better about the trial or other researches or services. So it's a well structured, organized office that actually responds very well to the public, to the patients. And we also have translator that communicated with this office, and then we can call the translator when we have patient that doesn't speak English. So to make the communication better, to be able to listen, understand the patient better. But I work in an ICU before do the clinical trial nurse, and we used to have family team meeting. So doctor, nurse, physiotherapists, especially in a critical moment, we see if it's not critical, is in a meeting we have generally after 1 week if the patient is in ICU, because we are cardiothoracic ICU, so generally the patients don't stay more than 2-3 days because we tend to send the work quickly. So if something go wrong, a patient stay longer, we have a meeting with the family on 1 week, and then if patient deteriorated anytime we need it. So we sit down with the patient, with the family, and sometimes actually in front of the patients if patients are weak. But and we have this person that have different title, actually different certificates, but it come from this office that sit down and make sure that the family of the patient understand. But we don't have, if I understand what you do, we don't have similar things, but I think it's quite similar. But no, in Italy we're back 200 years ago, I believe. Comparing with UK and USA, I'm sorry, unfortunately. Yeah. But I wanted to say something actually. I'm thankful that you have this department. And thank you very much for your intervention, Kathleen. Yeah. I think it's so important to speak with patients to understand what they're going through. I'm a clinical trial nurse now, and I work in Behçet Center. So with patients who've got Behçet syndrome, which is an inflammatory disease. I have endometriosis, so at the beginning I doubt I just tried to understand if it was right or not, talk about my condition to my patient, but then I decided actually to say, because when I relieve them, then I have a chronic condition too, and then I understand what they're going through. They feel more understood. They feel more able to take their time to say their problem and to tell me things that maybe they don't say to the doctor because they feel understood. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that point, because sometimes we don't realize what we have that works for us and where other nurses wish they had it at the tip of their fingers, you know, a backup plan, someone that can buffer the situation where if a patient is completely out of, not control, but yeah, sometimes they're out of control, but you just need that professional who this is their arena of practice and they come in and they save the day versus being stuck and you have nowhere to turn and this patient does not want to see you, does not want to see anyone called nurse. And now here you are, you cannot provide them care. So Katie, your line of work is very essential. And if you can go back to work and tell people that it's one of a kind in the world, to know, you know, to know
Thank
that
you.
providing a care that is not worldwide, you know, and these are areas that we're trying to bridge the gap, to make sure that nurses are empowered to do what they took their oath of practice to deliver. And wherever they get stuck, we want to be their backup. We want to be able to help them, you know, propel their career. So nurses in charge, we're brand new, but we're running a wildfire. We're doing
I got something to add on that, if you don't mind.
Oh, no problem, Mr.
I'm the non-nurse, so I just been listening. But that topic that you guys were on, thanks Miss Katie and Miss Dana and them for talking about. But what Katie is saying is it's essential for the patients, but in America, my feeling or what I think is in America we got, like in Florida alone, we have over 97,000 registered attorneys. That's just Florida alone. That's not the United States of America. So, and that was maybe last year report. So by now, probably got about 100,000 attorneys. So in America, we're very afraid of lawsuit. That's why they're doing it for the patient and thing relation. They try it. To me, it's just all a facade. It's something that should be done, which they know it is worth it to be that it goes on. But if it wasn't for the threat of lawsuit, trust me, they wouldn't have that. So it's something that need to be pushed to the other countries and need to let people to know that you don't need to have, like you see your tortoise in Africa, we say the tortoise, if you put a little piece of fire on a tortoise back, it runs so fast, you wouldn't believe how a tortoise go. But like if you go to Africa or other places like that, where we don't have prominent laws in place, so they just put the nurse care or the patient care, they just let them deal with it. That's why it's not prominent in Africa and places like those. But America, the main thing for it is lawsuit. And even in the, maybe Katie might attest to this, that in her field or her line, that they have to even be talking to the nurses or having to talk to the patients, and the patients are really rowdy. In America, we got what we call a lot of free speech, and people say anything. So there's no line limit. So that's where you're having that bridge between that, and thank God it's in America. We wish it goes to Africa, but it all depends on now you guys talking to your, like, people going to their representatives and things like that, and that would make it more prominent there, because that's what is here. It's because of lawsuit. If that makes any sense.
I absolutely understand what you mean for sure. I will say, to clarify my role, if anything legal or clinical comes up at all, I escalate to a different department. So we do have a whole other team for that, but I definitely hear you. I'm also really proud of our team because we do not tolerate abuse, verbally or physically from patients. Our security comes in and they will help us escalate. I'm with you though. We obviously have to watch what we're doing from a legal standpoint, but if any of those words come up, period, I'm removed from the conversation, and we have teams that deal with like risk management essentially that would then come in and I would step out.
I'm just talking from the fact that the hospitals too are very scared of the patients in America. Every little thing, I'm calling my lawyer, I'm calling my lawyer, I'm calling my lawyer. So it makes that department really, that's what it do. They really encourage them to do it. And I wish that like it wouldn't have to come to that point that other countries and things, what we know, like what those other people are experiencing, that it would come to fruition in that area. But it's something that they got to work on there.
Thank you for
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm, again, so flattered and honored. I love what you're doing. I think that communication amongst groups like this is just quite invaluable. I do have to jump off. I'm so sad that I have to leave because I really enjoyed speaking. Is there anything else before I jump off that we wanted to talk about?
just gonna give you a round of applause. You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoy getting to speak with you and get to know you a little bit better. And thanks for the opportunity.
Please
Thank you.
come back again.
Katie,
I will, anytime.
you're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks for
We
having me. Also, happy Nurses Week, everyone.
Yo,
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
all right.
Okay.
Katie,
Bye-bye.
bye.
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 Okay, and I see how's everybody doing. What's your feedback from presentations? Anything that you wanted to say that this is an open forum to say? What's your feedback? How
Can I
yes,
say something? Sorry.
okay.
Because if I can, I didn't have the time, but after the slides, I wanted to share Nia video she puts on WhatsApp. If I can, I would like to let it play.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Because it was so powerful to watch. Let me see if I am able to do it. It's a little bit slow, sorry. If you want to chat in the meantime, and then when I able, I'll tell you. Sorry.
Okay, as you navigate that, I just want to truly give you guys your flowers. You guys have done a phenomenal job. We've had so many challenges preparing in a short period of time. Literally, we started working on Nurses Week projects in April. And here we are. We've had a week long of successful events, like just truly one from another. Some days we had 3, like today we had 3. And each team had just stepped up to the task and truly performed well. And the team dynamics, we've had internet issues, we've had, I mean, everything that could fall in our path to distract us. People have had family tragedies, but they still came back and bounced right back. And I would say one of those is in Bino. People have had tornado in their regions that they never get tornadoes. That's native. We've had issues. We got hyped, but we bounced back. How is it? Glory be to God. I cannot say it's us. I just said glory be to God. This
Amen.
team is a team.
Amen.
And I couldn't be so much blessed to be part of NIC team. And I know this is just the beginning. We're going to spring. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spring. We just warmed up. Imagine, for this Nurses Week, we formed our mission team. Our mission team with different structures, to different, not layers, but different parts. Meaning we use our pillars for NIC to form our mission team. And what else can we conquer? Okay, so you guys did phenomenally for this Nurses Week, and it had just been so powerful, so fun, and I just wanted to truly, no one knows tomorrow, so I gave you a flower today, and tomorrow I give you another whole bouquet, okay? So that's what I wanted to lay out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see global team, you guys are phenomenal. We're gonna take this world with a storm and move. Great job.
Thank you.
Tina,
Thank you.
you
Why you're still struggling to play the video? There's this thing I want to just to say. There is this culture, especially in Africa, where when you come to health structures, nurses, there is this I can say this bias that is amongst the nurses. Nurses want to see other nurses fall. Nurses want to see other nurses fail. Nurses want to see other nurses do things wrongly, so that they can maybe laugh at them, maybe mock at them. But this, I just believe that most of nurses who are in such are doing it out of ignorance, because if we understand the health structure, our health team in our health facilities, you agree with me that for us to achieve quality care, for us to be able to take care of a patient, we all need to come together. It shouldn't be something that nurse A will be wanting nurse B to do and fail, so that nurse A should come and do it successfully, so that you receive the praise. And I want us to have this mind of that if there is success in every healthcare activity that is being carried out, if there is success, the team carries the praise, not an individual. And if there is failure, the team should be blamed for the failure, not an individual. In clinical simulation, we always have this culture in clinical simulation facilitation, where after every event, we sit down to do a debrief. During this debrief, we look at what we did, that we would like to continue do it the same way. What did we do that we would like to change if we have an opportunity next time to do it? So this culture brings this sense of this responsibility to every member of the team, because if it happens to you today, and then it's going to happen to me tomorrow. Let's say, for example, we are in a team. Let's say in an emergency. Okay, a patient comes in. Maybe the doctor prescribe. Okay, say give adrenaline. The doctor can give the prescription, and then in that course of communication, maybe the nurse did not actually get the right prescription. And then the nurse now gives a wrong prescription. And at the end of that event, something went wrong. And in the course of that debrief, you're going to understand that maybe there was a breach in communication somewhere. That was why the prescription was not administered as the doctor prescribed. Which means if there was this breach in this communication, that I was the person to administer the medication today, then there can still be that breach in communication when you are the one administering the medication tomorrow. So we need to look at what went wrong and what can we do to better eliminate these mistakes. And if we have this culture in our various health facilities all over the world, we are going to see that a lot of clinical errors, a lot of errors that are happening in our clinical field are not going to be there, because we'll be sitting there for each other. We'll make sure we are there for each other as nurses. we'll make sure we are there for each other as healthcare professionals. We will know that the entire goal is for the well-being of the patient, and it's not for our well-being as individual nurses. So if we have this culture, if we cultivate this mind, then we are going to form a really great team, and we are going to do a lot of wonderful things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbino.
I'll try to play, yeah?
Yes.
You tell me. Yes, because we wanted to celebrate nurses, empowering nurses by celebrating them. We wanted to Stanley actually perform the presentation because we want to empower nurses, because as Bena said, this is so right. We have to support each other, and I think we should start from the student, the little one. And this is why I also recall Kendria post, because especially if they're so good as a student nurses or young nurses, we should support them, because if they are good at what they do and they are able to contribute to the nursing, even with just a little experience as a student or at the beginning of their experience as a nurse, we should, support them. But it's also true that we have to recognize the power of seasoned nurse, and we need to spread the word of what they've done, because sometimes nurses work 30, 40 years in the field, they do amazing things, they save millions of lives, and then they just retired and people forgot. And so we have to celebrate all nurses, and we empower nurses by celebrating each other. By the way, Nia is an inspiration for everyone, so I hope the video play now, otherwise the chat for nothing. I hope it's going to play.
Okay. Hello. Nurses in charge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, your name, and I guess people might be watching this will be wondering, who is this lady talking to us about nurses in charge? And they might want to know your name. So can you tell them your name?
My name is Mrs. Leah Lapu Kiamu.
Okay. Today we came to this work site. We heard that there's a construction going on here for a medical center. And this is unusual this morning, seeing all of the workers wearing green, which indicates something that have to link with nurses. So I was wondering, maybe I have to come and inquire what's going on this morning, where all of the workers are wearing green.
Yes, thank you so much. This week, starting from today, is Nurses Celebration Week. So all over the world today, nurses are being celebrated, and we are so happy for us to celebrate this special day.
Wow.
So if you see workers in green, they are all in scrubs to celebrate this day because of the medical center that we are constructing here in Gamu Town, Fanta District, Bon County, Liberia.
Okay. Has there been any clinic or hospital built in the district?
Yes, they do have a clinic built in the district, like in Fokwala, they do have a clinic. In Boy, they have a clinic. And in Bellemont, they do have a clinic. Even in Gamu, they have a clinic, but a hospital had never been built, or medical center that will serve masses and then do other testing in advance.
So what are some essential medical work that is going to be done here in this medical center that going to make it different from any other medical center or hospital in the region?
Yeah, by the grace of God, in this medical center, we're going to have a triage area, and we also going to have a diabetic teaching area, and also we will have other equipments that will be brought here to do more assessment instead of patients having difficulties getting the correct kind of equipment to assess them and really for the doctors to diagnose what is being treated. So those are some of the things that are going to be here. And being that we are already growing diabetic rice, we also incorporated diabetic teaching that will be into this medical center here.
Well, from the past time, we have seen that a lot of people die from some medical places due to poor handling of simple proceedings that is needed to be carried on. You are showing us that this medical center is going to be a place where none of that incident is going to happen.
Well, by the grace of God, that's our prayer for God to help us so that every equipment that will be needed to assess patients correctly will be available here. There are clinics here, and there are great nurses and medical personnel that work in these clinics. But because of the instrument that they need to do a better assessment to diagnose the cases that will come, so it makes it difficult for them to really be able to know what's going on. Usually they will transfer or transport the patient to Phoebe Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the county too, or CB Dunbar Hospital, but they are all located in Banga and Suakoko region. But in the various clinics, our nurses are suffering from these medical equipments that they really need to use to diagnose what they are treating.
Okay. Is there going to be a testing place for testing those nurses or doctors that you are going to hire or employ into your medical center? Is there going to be a place where you can be able to carry on some simple evaluation as to testing whether they are capable of handling every health activities that will serve as a safety rules for those people that will come here? Like, I mean, to test and know how well they are able to handle the affairs of the medical hospital that won't cause some death, unfortunate death, and other things like that?
Sure, by the grace of God, those are services that are going to come because there are great doctors who will come on board. But when they come on, even nurses that will come or nurses assistants that will come, we do have testing that we will administer to test their ability of what they know. Then before we can hire them in the States, that's what we do there in the United States. I have been a nurse for the past 42 years. So 20 years in Liberia and then 22 years in the United States. So whenever we are being hired by any hospital, those are the first assessment we go through. They will have to test our ability and knowledge to really prove that we know what we are doing. So that's going to be here too. We're going to do such assessment testing for us to know. And besides that, we're going to work along with the health department in Liberia, the Ministry of Health, to really know that each person that coming on board are really satisfied to do the kind of work they're going to do. We're not going to see somebody come and say, I'm a doctor, or I'm a nurse, or I work in the cardiac unit or diabetic unit. with all bringing references.
Without knowing their qualification.
Yeah, with all checking their background and also looking at their licenses before hiring them. So all of those processes going to be right here. We're going to have testing area that even though we would check and know if whether the license they receive is correct and it is the right career that they're talking about, we still going to do our assessment here. That is a testing examination that will be given to each individual that will come to apply to work here.
Wow. So the reason why I asked that question is there are a lot of people who's been saying those nurses that are in some local clinic and hospitals around here don't handle the affairs of their patient. And for that reason, you see there are a lot of patients die because they are not being catered to, they are not being paid attention to. So for that reason, a lot of them die.
Thank you so much for such a question, and that's on our record, our board, that before you come to work, we're going to take you through.
Wow. Good job, Naya and team. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Just sorry before I close. I felt very empowered by this video because it's our network is our net worth. Knowing these people really empowering us. From the student that did a great job to a young nurses who make the point very greatly, to a seasoned nurse just inspiring us. I think that we empowering nursing by celebrating each other, but showing the good work, so support each other, as Embedo say. And if I did a great job in presenting, just because I listened, I was able to listen good, because Stanley did the bullet point, Peter put the presentation on the slides. I just listened the other day during all the communication went through, so I just listened, and this is the results. You did a great job, all of you. Happiness this week.
Awesome. That's what teamwork does. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So you guys truly, truly went on as a team, and look at the product. So if you're a team member and you are part of the team, you don't know what's going to happen when you get to the presentation. Maybe your presentation material may get lost, ripped, or who knows. But if you play your role, you guys can turn around and make it happen some kind of way. That's exactly what you guys did. So bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mania.
Thank
She
you.
actually.
Thank you, everyone. Our next program starts now. So we're gonna say we're gonna end this recording, and
vulnerability. It's vulnerability outside because started something new that no one done before, so it's ready to fail, and so show up the vulnerability, basically, I think.
okay. Thank you, Dina. Okay, let's go to Webster Dictionary for our reference to make it very much legalistic, right? A trailblazer is a person who's the first to do something. Check, you guys said it. Whether it's making a new path through the woods or discovering a cure for cancer, a literal trailblazer blazes or makes a trail in the wilderness. Why does that definition fit you, myself, and the rest of our members who are listed on the list of being trailblazers? Here we are as nurses in charge, globally stationed, We have come, we have connected, we have celebrated, we are empowering. But what are we celebrating exactly? Are we just celebrating our birthdays? I believe that was the question. That was an inquiry by one of our members once, who said, you guys want to do birthdays? No, we don't. That is how you start. That's the grassroots. Okay? But truly, what are we celebrating? How do we get to the mark to truly build a hall of fame, right? A hall of fame that says, these are the nurses in charge organization. Wow, seriously? Where did it come from? Where did you find them? They're in the world. But did you know them? Maybe you could have done a Google search. Maybe you could have traveled to Cameroon, Liberia, UK, Italy, Dubai, Pakistan, India, to name a few of the regions our members are from. You could have done your own homework, but no, we did it for you. We came together individually without coercion. No one told us, come to NIC, I'll give you $1. Nobody did that. No one said, I'll give you a new sneaker. No, you came and you did your own application. And on that application, there are a slew of information that you provided. So you voluntarily came. And then we said, who are the trailblazers? Who are those nurses who have paved the path that no one has traveled? No one has ever thought of traveling? Maybe a similar trail was paved before, but the way in which this nurse did it is so unique. You just have to come closer. Come closer. Don't stand across the Atlantic Ocean and think you're going to find out. You got to come closer into NIC and get the first glimpse of it. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, some of our members presented here today, and very few of us are here, may I say. The rest of them will hear their name called. And the next episode of this introductory phase will truly showcase from the horse's own mouth, as the saying goes. From the nurse's own mouth, you will hear firsthand, why did it do it? Why did it blaze that trail? And it will come from themselves. We will first category says, I have achieved, I can't even say, I've achieved, I am graduating from a college, university in 2024. Why do we mark 2024? Because this is the year of new pages that we're opening up. Not negating those who graduated last year, but this year alone, who has achieved what? Who is achieving what this year? Okay. Here we are. Welcome, sis. So on this list of nurses who have achieved either a CNA, nurse, certified nurses assistant degree, a licensed practical nurse degree, a registered nurse degree, a nurse practitioner degree, a doctor of nursing practice degree, or a PhD, doctor of philosophy, doctor of science degree. And we have a list here. As I mentioned, I'm just giving a name of these individuals on the list, and the next episode of this event will be them telling us how and why did they blaze this trail that they have marked, that they have paved the path for others, either in their family or others in this organization, to say, why, if you can do that, I can do it too. So with your reaction buttons, please do use them fully to just appreciate, recognize our colleagues who are on this list of some academic achievement in the nursing profession. We have Miss Felicia Gorwia. We have Miss Lorena Tapia. We have Mbino Awat. We have Casey Pacheco Moran. We have Miss Nora Keith. Okia, not Keith, Miss Nora Kia. We have Abraham Kemarudin. We have Dina Paoloni. I just love the fact that I can say Dina last name well. Whew, I'm going to work on everyone else's, okay? So forgive me, guys. We have Niwadinda Bilam and Somaye Pava. Lastly, we have Indasi Maxil. So ladies and gentlemen, I just gave you a list of 12 nurses who have achieved an academic accomplishment from nurse's aide to PhD. In between that, around that, so we recognize your achievement and we would love to hear more about it. The next category, these nurses said, I am a public speaker or an influencer. Ladies and gentlemen, let us not think that public speaking is just a joke. You just go there and stand up there and talk. It comes with precision. It comes with knowledge. It comes with research. It comes with dedication, just like the achievement that I mentioned before. Public speaking and being an influencer takes passion. It takes dedication. Yensha Stanley Buncombe, he said he falls in this category of a public speaker and or an influencer, maybe both. Then we have Sonia Martin, Tolu Omolola Adioyi. Forgive me if I don't pronounce your name properly. We will get there someday soon. Mbino Awat, Casey Pacheco Moran, Dina Paoloni, Carla Jensen Van Rosendale, Niwandina Bilam, and again, Indasi Maxil. Again, I have given you 8 nurses out of nurses in charge who are speakers and or influencers. We have a list to go, guys. To truly say we have trailblazers, we're not kidding. Now, we have the entrepreneurs. To have the spirit of an entrepreneur's commitment, it is not easy. You have to do your business research. You have to find your niche. You have to truly even have your bank account set up, money in, I say money moolah in our bank account to back you up. You either working solopreneur or you have staff, you have an overhead, and the list goes on to leap out of just being a professional nurse at the hospital, at the bedside, to leap into entrepreneurship. It is not easy. Coming from the horse's own mouth. Been there, done that, still doing it. we have on this list Sonia Martin, Tolu Omolola, Crystal Simpson, Casey Pacheco Morin, Dina Paoloni. I said it good before and now I'm struggling with it. Carla Jensen Van Rosendale, Amy Madrigal, and Nyempu Kemuho. If any of these lists, you did not hear your name and your name should be on it, that means you did not do the poll. It is not late. Please do send me an inbox, either through the nurses in charge at gmail.com or send it in WhatsApp to me. We will build this list up. Like I said, this is going to be bigger than you think, okay? By the grace of God. Then our fourth category are those nurses who said, I am an author. You think nurses in charge are not taking charge? Come again. First on our list with a book that is still hot and just coming out of the oven with a book launch, a book challenge that has taken route is from Dina Paoloni. We have Carla Jensen Van Rosendale. We have Ndasi Maxwell and Leonard Otiano. So we have 4 nurses who are listed, but not limited to this list. This list is not exclusive. We truly want to make it more inclusive. So bring on your name. And these nurses are authors. And may I say, writing a book is not just sitting, taking a pen and paper and just writing a love note. It's more than that. So we will definitely want to know, what was it like to write a book? What was it like to be an author? Maybe you wrote an article. Maybe you are writing newsletters. So we're not only talking about books, we're talking about anything that take a literary form, that you write a literature on something, you do a research you did, and then you publish it. Please do. Come aboard and let us know. Our last category are nurses who said, I am an inventor or I am a developer. Woo! Save the best for last. It gets better, it gets hotter. So these nurses have invented something or they have developed something. On this list, we have Evelyn Y. Yengio. We have Casey Pacheco Morin. We have Dina Paoloni. These nurses are not playing. They are in charge and they're in the right place. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I was giving the list, I could not use my reaction button like I love to always do. But kudos to our nurses in charge. And mind you, some of our nurses, they fell in all 5 categories. Imagine that. Isn't that supercharged to have one nurse who has graduated, who has recently achieved an academic accolade, an academic achievement. And the same nurse is a public speaker, an influencer. The same nurse is an entrepreneur. The same nurse is an author. The same nurse is a developer or an inventor. Listen, that is, if you don't call that a super nurse, like a bionic nurse, there are more names to this nurse who falls into all 5 categories. Wouldn't you want to know this nurse? That, I keep it as a secret. I harness it because when the curtains roll over and we can see all of these trailblazers, your mouth will drop The whole world will see it, the whole world will hear it. Can't wait for our next episode of NIC's Trailblazer Nurses. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the presentation. Any comments, any feedback on this rendition?
Yes.
Yes, Miss Evelyn. Well,
Who's
listen.
after, because it's after 3 years now.
Okay.
I just want to tell you thank you. And you know, it's amazing to be part of NIC. For me, I can't really get over it because one fight, NIC has made me to know a lot of things, even about phone, because we were like using a phone to just go on Facebook, using a phone, maybe when someone texts you, you text the person back, but now, NIC has made me to look to the phone until even if I out of data, I feel so discouraged. So I just want to tell you thank you, says Nyempu, and we will make sure we reach NIC where it's supposed to reach globally. For me, I already make a vow. If it even costs me to leave the hospital because of NIC, I'm going to get on my feet to put NIC in charge. So I just want to say thank you.
By the grace of God, we shall be there.
Yes, yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You're going to join NIC. You keep coming in my meetings. Awesome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. All right. If there's no one else, we will wrap up here. Happy Nurses Week. Thank you, Sis Francis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Nurses Week to you as well.
I don't have any.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all 8 of you guys. 9 of you guys have attended 3 events back to back. If you don't call that dedication, you don't call that commitment, I don't know which dictionary you're defining those 2 words. NIC truly, truly has been blessed. And when I say NIC, that's us. We have been blessed. We all have been blessed with committed members who, even if they don't have internet, they'll go somewhere and invent an internet access to get to get connected. When you say connection, listen, there's a deeper meaning to connection, and you can only find it in NIC. When you say celebration, there's a deeper meaning. We take it to the brain. We don't just say it, we put it out there, we do it, we embody it, only at NIC. If anybody talking about connection, tell them to come here. This is where we connect, this is where we celebrate, and this is where we empower each other. No one knows it better than their friend. We come here to empower each other. So please note, you are loved, you are blessed, you are highly favored in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you. You have a blessed day. Tomorrow is when they say climax, is happening tomorrow. If you miss it, sorry, I can't help you. I can't help you. So don't miss tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 7. If you read the Bible, you see day 7 in the Bible, you got to read it 7 times. In the Bible, you see the number 7. Whew. Stop. Roll over. Stop your car. Read it 7 times. So tomorrow, mega blessings, mega recognition. Mega I see. Don't miss. If you're watching the replay, you're just getting the digest. So don't miss tomorrow, please, my people. I beg you. Tomorrow, NIC climax. This Nurses Week is our week, people. So please join tomorrow, 1 p.m. And you know me, I'll be reminding you is we're joining in half an hour, in 10 minutes, so that nobody will say, oh, my time zone is different. Unless you're not online, then that's a different one. But I pray that NIC will not be stopped by internet business tomorrow in the mighty name of Jesus.
Jesus, amen.
Yeah.
So, love
So
you all.
1 hour. The same time says
Yes, Evelyn, what's up? So I'm gonna stop the recording because